Welcome into the day after same day edition as we're recording this video on Saturday afternoon following the Edmonton Oilers' huge comeback victory over the New York Rangers in a matinee game, nonetheless. Zach, what did you think about that game?
Yeah, Coombsy, bit of a wild one, man. I mean, to see him go down 3-0, I was ready to come on here and be very mad online about things. But what a fourth period comeback, right? You get two huge goals from Evan Bouchard. Hollywood gets his first career goal on a really, really nice shot. And then Big Daddy Dry with a beautiful game winner. Like, you can't script it any better than that. And in a game that I really thought the team deserved to win.
That seems like it could be a big vibe shift for the Oilers because at the start of the road trip, they kick things off. They lose to New Jersey again. And then they have a really frustrating loss after that, a shutout against the New York Islanders where you put up like 50 shots and you can't get anything in. And then it takes the Oilers until the third period and they finally explode and get some goals. It feels like, I mean, we're only in late November here. We're not even in December yet, but it feels like it could be a season changing win for a team desperately in need of some good vibes. The first thing that I think we should talk about today was Evan Bouchard's breakout game. He came into the game. So last season he had, the breakout year. He puts up 43 points. Expectations for him this year are sky high. And he gets off to a little bit of a slow start. 20 games, minus rating, only 6 points. Everyone's getting really critical. Can this guy actually play defense? Is he a shin pad assassin? Can he get pucks on net? And then he bursts out with 2 goals. What'd you see from Evan Bouchard in this game?
Well, I think it was just some really nice things. I think the Oilers did a really good job in managing his minutes. He played along with Philip Broberg today in Broberg's first NHL game of the season, and they looked really good together. I mean, they controlled 70% of the shot attempts shared 5-on-5. They controlled, a good amount of the expected goal share as well. And I think those were really promising to see from these young guys. They played last year together a little bit as well. For Bouchard, I think the talent's there, obviously. We know what he can do offensively. He's going to be a guy who puts up, 40, 50 points, 60 points, maybe even regularly down the road. But he's still young. This is really only really only his second year of actual NHL action. So it's going to be a bumpy road for him. But I thought, coming into tonight, there was a lot of nice things. He was still shooting the puck at a very high rate. His possession and underlying numbers were really, really strong still. He was just getting bit by the PDO bug, right? And, even after today's game, his 5-on-5 on ice shooting percentage is still only 4%. That's like half of what it really should be. So there's going to be some really strong regression to the mean. That's the word I'm looking for in terms of that. So I'd expect there to be much more offense to come from him.
Yeah, it's a good point. I think we kind of forget because it feels like he's been here longer than he has. Last year was only his first full season in the league, and he's still on the entry level contract. So there's going to be growing pains for Evan Bouchard. And then speaking of another player who's just kind of feeling their way into the league, that felt like a huge one for Dylan Holloway. He plays 16 games and finally gets his first goal. He gets elevated to play alongside Warren Fogle and Ryan McLeod, and he scores his first goal on a really, really good goalie, too. A shot that clean beats last year's Vezina Trophy winner. Do you think this could be the start of Dylan Holloway kind of finally finding his footing at the NHL level and producing some offense?
Well, I hope so. I really do. I mean, I think in one sense of the term, it wouldn't surprise me to still see him be sent down, a nice goal or not here. I think for him, the biggest thing is he needs to play regular minutes, right? So if he can slide up and play on this third line with McLeod and Fogle, they looked really good already. And I like McLeod and Fogle a lot as a little duo, a little mini stack in the lineup, right? And if Holloway can find some offense, that would be huge for this club. We know how big of an issue depth scoring is, right? The Oilers are continuing to score at the lowest rate without McDavid and Draisaitl on the ice that they have in their time in Edmonton. So there's huge cause for concern there. But man, if like it really seemed like that was just a monkey off the back for Holloway, right? Like you saw how excited he was after the goal. You saw how excited the teammates were. After the game, Holloway was, bumping up Leon Draisaitl, saying he's really helped him recently. The people in this organization really love this kid, and I think he's going to have a lot of runway to kind of try and find his legs.
Yeah, the Oilers really need to find players to contribute to depth scoring. So I don't think it would be shocking to see Holloway maybe play an entire game on a line with McLeod and Fogle, or perhaps get a look in the top six. I think one of the positive things about this, obviously, you love seeing the Oilers pull off a comeback win. And we've seen this happen times in the past where it's Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl willing them to victory. But this time it was completely different players. It was a bunch of young guys in the team, Bouchard, Dylan Holloway. And it was also another positive to see Jack Campbell get back into the win column. He's obviously had a pretty difficult start to his career in Edmonton. That's been fairly well noted. In this game, it wasn't a master class from Campbell by any stretch, but he allows just 3 goals on 23 shots. I wouldn't say that. I'd say that probably only one of those goals was his fault. The other two were the result of some shoddy defense. So it's nice to see Campbell get back in the win column after what, like 2.5 weeks without one.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been a tough stretch for him, right? We've talked about it a lot, on our various platforms at Oilers Nation here. And, the struggle's been real. And anybody who's just going to glance at this game, they're going to look at it and say, oh, well, he had an 870 save percentage and he still allowed 3 goals. Yes, that's true. But, he probably deserved to have a higher save percentage. And I think it also speaks to the way the Oilers played defensively in front of him as well. They really did a good job of limiting the shots that the Rangers had, right? The Oilers, by the end of the game, controlled 65% of the shot attempt share at 5-on-5. That's big, especially against a Rangers team that is a really strong club. Like, they're a really good group, got a very good top nine. Hopefully this is a moment where it kind of like boosts some confidence in Campbell. And hopefully he's able to find his game too, because he's another one of these guys that it feels like he needs to like get off the schneid, right? Like, it feels like he needs like a 35 save shutout performance coming up soon here to like really get him back in the zone that he really needs to be in.
Yeah, just being able to hang his hat on an actual win beside his name for the first time in a while is nice, because the Oilers are going to have to go back and forth with their goalies here. The schedule isn't really letting up. They return home from the 3-game road trip on Monday, and they'll host the Florida Panthers. And then it's a back-to-back on the road through Chicago and Minnesota on Wednesday and Thursday. And then they're back at home again to play the Montreal Canadiens on Saturday. It's just a nonstop onslaught of games for the Oilers. So that's why it's so important they got to finish this trip with some good vibes. Zach, is there anything else you want to add before we sign off?
No, I think just the big thing is like you mentioned, Coombsy, the vibes were great. And I really hope this is a moment where we kind of look back on a month or two down the road from now and we're like, wow, that comeback victory against the Rangers, that was a really big one, right? Because last year too, the Oilers had that big win against the Rangers, another come from behind win on the Kevin Lowe retirement night where Connor McDavid scored the goal. And it seemed like a bit of a catalyst point for this team at that point in time. So hopefully at this point in time, it can be another one of those moments where we kind of sit here, look back and say, wow, that was really a key win for this team to get some wins going for them.
We'll be back on Tuesday morning, hopefully after a win against the Florida Panthers. Until then, please comment, like, and subscribe, and head over to OilersNation.com to read more analysis about the team.